Haha, audio. That's why I was wearing these to make sure. It sounded weird. Welcome to Airbrush Down and Dirty Tricks. It's a Monday night. It's time to get going. And let's show you where we left off last week. And before we do that, let's see who we got in tonight. We'll adjust the sound a little bit so it's not bad. There we go. So weird hearing yourself because there's always like a 1 or 2 frame delay. It just sounds off. So hold on a second. All right, I think we're good now. It does seem like it's peaking pretty loud, so I am gonna turn that down a little bit so we get down right around there. That should be better. There we go. There we go. Todd Grisby, Brian Moore, Ray Shea, Tater Salad, Darren Blank, Jonathan Parsons. What's going on, everyone? Thanks for popping in. Did I miss anyone? Mike Manning, what's going on? All right. Hope everyone's having a fantastic Monday. Steve, what's happening? And I'm recording. We are on air, recording. We are live. Good. Audio should sound better. Good, good, good. I think we're good. Cameras are working better. I don't have the weird stuff going on, so that should be good. And yeah. Let's do that. Let's see here. Just trying to get. Oh, I just want to see the chat. Hold on. There we go. There we go. Just trying to see the chat there. It's a little easier at times to make sure it's just streaming. All right. How's everyone? It's Monday. Decent? Audio video good. Thank you, Gary. Appreciate it. All right, let's show you where I left off. And before I get there, let me just say that this vector is available up online right now. So you can download the vector set that has the whole image. It has the mummy separate and it has a separate file with the hieroglyphs themselves. So you can mix and match and move things around. So that would be kind of cool. I literally, it was like 15 minutes before I started getting it up there. So it should be ready. The link I pinned to the top and should be all good for anyone who's interested. I put the link in the description as well. If you're interested in downloading this, it's there. It should be good to go. And that's on mckayfineart.com. And let's see, where's the... Yeah, that's mckayfineart.com. The store's right there. Don't forget, members, you get 25% off for channel members, which we got a couple of new ones in that came on this week. Let's see, we got James Jones, Tater Salad came in a couple days ago during the last feed, I think is when you signed up. Raymond Carson, you're the 3 newest. Morbius was just behind that. And thank you guys for joining up. If you look in your... like the members area of YouTube. It's from a phone, it's really hard. On your computer, it's a lot easier. You go to the members area, and that's where you get the codes to use at the store for the discounts, in case you're having trouble with that. And if you are having trouble, feel free to go on these socials and message me, and I can help you through it. So, that being said, let's get to what we're doing. Camera 3. This is where we left off last week. Let me get this camera adjusted. There we go. It should be good. Zoomed in well. You guys can see everything. I can see everything. All right, so I was hesitant. I almost did this earlier today, just record it so I could time lapse it. But I really wanted to do it in real time, and then I can maybe do a time lapse afterwards because I think it's more important for learning. Which I do a lot of the show for learning, so you can see the process in real time. So it's not just like, oh my god, he did it in 20 minutes. It's a quick painting. Yeah, it's a quick painting, but it's not 20-minute painting. Okay, you know, that was the curse of the biker build-off shows and the OCCs and all that stuff. It did that. So yeah, it kind of gave people a false expectation. So one of the things I like to do in the live feed, and the reason I do them live, as opposed to edit and post. And I really need to like edit and post afterwards more. It's just time. And I'm not fast at editing. It's just reality of what this stuff really is, because it shows what it really takes to do it. And it's still quick, you know, but it's just not 20 minutes quick. You know, it's 4 to 6 hours quick, which for painting like this is still relatively quick. It's not, you know, you bang out this in, you know, 6 hours on a bike, or, you know, spend probably more time, like 8 hours. If you were designing it from scratch, this would probably be like a 12-hour job, 15-hour job done, and then you still got to clear it, polish everything. So, you know, if you're a $100 an hour guy, this is a $1,500 painting on a bike, you know, on a rear fender. And then you add prep and clear, stuff like that into it. So, you know, that's kind of the range of something like this on a motorcycle, on a tank, would be anywhere from $800 to $1,500. In most areas, I mean, that always depends on where you're at and what your price point in your region is, and, you know, your reputation, things like that. But I've always said if your average plumber, craftsman, tradesman in your area is between like 75 and 125 an hour, you know, airbrush art on motorcycles or cars at a high level, at a trained, you know, journeyman type level, should be in the same price point. Now, if you're newer, you're getting your feet wet, obviously it's lower. If just like tattoo artists, you're really sought after and you got a 2-year book list, maybe you go $250 an hour. You know, it just depends. But I have always kind of worked in, you know, what is the tradesman, craftsman price point in your area? I think that's a good place to kind of gauge where you're at for that. If you're new, you're probably going to be at the lower end. If it's a $75 to $150 area, you know, yeah, you're probably starting out. You know, bigger piece, you're probably going to be at the lower end, which is still great money, you know. You know, and you got to factor materials and things like that in. But I just want to give people real expectations of what you're looking at. So let's see. Let's bring that reference image back up here. All right. Any questions or anything from last week before? Damn, you're running out of room. Brian, where am I running out of room? Just curious. Is painting, or is it on the members list? Because that's getting a little tight. I'm going to have to do either 2 pages or make the font smaller. So, if anyone any questions or comments, now's a good time. All right, let's bring up where we were. So if you remember, this is all new paint I mixed up because I left it open. So if you remember, this color was the white in this green, this lime light green mix. So I'm just going to put a little bit in, and a little bit of white in my cup. Now, these have been mixed and strained. You know I'm a big proponent for straining. On your members list. Yeah, it's getting a little tight. I had to actually had to go to a 4th line. So I'm going to have to make things smaller, which is good, man. I think we're over 70. And there's a few people, Ray Shea, you're one of them. Bowers, Airbrush, and Alter, A-Thing First. You guys, these long names, really, really mess up the how I need to arrange stuff. But yeah, so I got it all in there. So, you know, I think what I'll do is my personal goal has always been to get to 100 members, 100 paid members. And I think when I hit that goal, I'm going to try to do something special for that. If I have to go 2 pages, I go 2 pages. Or I'll have to figure out how to do, like, you know, I'll have to figure out how to do animated, you know, scrolling names. Which once I get my new mixer, then I can eventually freaking do that. But I'm still working on my small mixer. I'm still not at full potential. It's fine. Don't be sorry. It's just funny. I don't know how to use a Cameo. Is this vector easy to convert to my equipment? You don't need to convert it. You just import it. When you download my files, all the file sets are there. You know, when you open it up, you'll see EPS. You'll see EPS. You'll see an SVG. You'll see all these file types. For Cameo, you should be able to import the DXF and the SVG, but I think you were talking about, Brian, that you may have to do some. There might be a new. You might need to have their design studio it works with Cameo Silhouette. There's just, I don't know why you're doing it, how you're having issues with it, but that was never the case before. So they may have changed it recently, and that's nothing I have control over. What you could do is Easy Cut Studio, which is that software that I mentioned last week. That will cut to any plotter, Cricut, Cameo, any machine from what I've seen on it. You can get a trial version to verify, but it was I think it was a $24 download, and that does design. It imports everything. It's actually a basic design software, but it may have changed. I never had to have the design. I never paid for anything extra other than what you could download. So yeah, just look into that. You know, I use Adobe Illustrator, which if you think having to pay is expensive for that, try Adobe Illustrator, because that costs you some money, but it's a better design program. But yeah, you have a program there. You got to just mess around with it, whether it's import or open. Try the DXF or the SVG. You can even try the EPS. And I'll mess around with it, but I didn't have time today. It was kind of a holiday, half work day. I'll see if there's any other file types that can come in, or if I can save it as a native. Because I know I can work with Cameo. I can maybe save it as a Cameo file if they have their own file designation and go from there. Basic edition will not allow. See, I'm gonna go check something. Now, where is Cameo? This is why I don't even use it. Let's see here. I'm scrolling because with Cricut I had to do a whole bunch of crap to get it to work because the way Cricut messed with their software. But yeah, you can do Easy Cut Studio. That should work with any machine, which I'm opening that now just to see. New project. I want to see what kind of cutter. Oh, because I have mine's plugged in USB, that it's already sensing my plotter. But yeah, Easy Cut Studio, I know you can go in and select plotters. They have a free demo of it. It's Easy Cut Studio 6. I'll try that. Where is my Silhouette software? Sign cut, spool, sign cut. I just see now. I'm on a Mac too, so Mac might change things as well. Yeah, I'll have to look. It might be on my other computer. Yeah, I'll mess around with it. This is the first issues that I've heard in years of Design Space changing, so I will double check and see. But if you have to buy a upgrade software to use your plotter, that's on them. I can only control so much. But there's got to be a way. There's got to be a way to convert and import. If I can convert and save them, I will. But like I said, you can look into that Easy Cut Studio. You can get a free trial version, and then I think it's 20-something bucks, and that's forever. Like once you buy it. So just give that a shot. I'll try to mess with that tomorrow. Message me, remind me of that tomorrow, and I'll try to get to it. All right, so But these companies, man, they don't make it easy for people. You know, they want to take every little piece they can. It's like the video game industry. It's doing the same thing. You used to own the game, own the software. Now you're just merely licensing it, and they can strip it or change it at will. There's nothing you can do about it. Yeah, I gotta look to see what edition. I had it in the computer. It's not there, so I might not have. I haven't checked with it in a while because I haven't needed to. I know I've used my Cameo with it, and I just have to look to see where the software went. Okay, so let's talk about what we're doing here, because you'll be able to get it open. We'll figure a way to get it open for you. How much is design space as far as an upgrade on the software? Is it a monthly thing, or is it just a one-time buy? So what I'm doing is I'm looking to what's on top, and I'm doing those first. Okay, and I'm trying to do things that are... So I did this one because this one goes underneath it, so I don't want to do that one first. I want to do this one first. This was the big one, so I wanted to do that one first. Rob, see what's happening. Just picking and pulling, masking. I think it's 44, so I have to check the licensing if it's a month. If they're so, there's no way they're charging. If they are charging $44 a month, that's ridiculous. Then I would never recommend that machine ever again. It might be for a yearly thing, but I'll figure something out, and I'll figure out. So, Amos, if you have it, do me a favor. If you, I don't know if you can do it while we're live. If you have it, see if you can open up one of my DXFs, because I think you have a couple of my files. See if you can import one in, and see, and yeah, Rob, we are, and see if you can save it out as a file native to Cameo. Like if they have their own like .ces or whatever, because like when I used to use FlexiSign used to have a .fs file. So these days, all my old .fs's won't open because if I didn't convert them out back then when I had FlexiSign, I can't ever open those files again unless I buy FlexiSign. So see if there's a file designation, because if that's the case, I will buy the upgrade just so I can make sure I save it out as something that'll open in their software. But if they start doing that, then I will not recommend, and I'm not paid to recommend them, but I won't recommend them at all. But definitely look into that Easy Cut Studio 6 before anything, because Easy Cut Studio 6, I'm pretty sure you can cut through a Cameo and you can use anything. I have the SG file working on. I can check. Thanks, Avis. I appreciate it. Right, not much. Did you get a chance to check about importing the DXF? No, I didn't get a chance to do that today. But again, I've never had a question up until now. I've never had anyone. No one of the Cameos ever had an issue in the 5-6 years I've been doing vectors. No, important to buying software. Use Swiss Army. Yeah, so let me take a look at it. Like I use a general plotter, and I plot. You know, when you buy an actual plotter like a Roland or a Graphtec, or I'm assuming if they haven't changed, even the US cutters, they use Sir Cuts a lot. Their software will import an EPS file. Vector files are not Vector files are not exclusive to it. Got to damn software. Vector files are a point-to-point mathematical file that is generic, like a JPEG. It should open on everything. Yeah, that'd be like Photoshop not importing a JPEG without you paying extra. So I'll look into some more stuff this week and see if I can figure some stuff out. But let's get back to painting. And Abe is going to check and see if there's a way to save an SVG, save his SVG out as a native that you don't need the upgrade. Because if that's the case, we'll work it out. But when I've designed these, I give that file set, it opens on everything. It even opens on damn Cricut. Normal software. And I ain't paying for Cricut. Because I can't stand it. So like I said earlier, I was going to do this off camera because it is rather tedious. So I'm going to try to really buzz through this stuff. But what you'll notice is what I'm doing, like I said, I'm trying to find out what's on top. And I'm working with that. And what I'm doing is, you notice on these, in between I left them darker. So I'm going heavy coverage on what I know is going to be straps or the wraps. So every once in a while, I'm like this one, I'm going to leave as a gap. I'm going to leave as a gap between the wraps so I can put, I can put the little skin texture and stuff in there. You know what I mean? Like that's a wrap. You know what? This wrap should probably connect through. So we'll add a little of that. But, the thing is these days, everything you want to do in any hobby now has an extra charge. The days of buying something software related, using it as it is, as long as you want, you're gone. It's over. They won. They figured out how to do it. So you're always going to have to pay some type of subscription. And that's unfortunate. We're lucky YouTube is free. Nope, I am just using HPC Plus. I very rarely use microns. I love my microns. But very rarely do I find the need to use them. And when I'm doing high coverage opaques like this, I never use them. This is the big misnomer that a lot of people mistakenly online, because they want to be cool and say, oh, I use a micron for everything. You don't want a micron for opaque, heavy coverage colors. You can save as a GSP. Okay, so Brian, if he sends you a file as a GSP, see if you can open it. Because if you can open it, what I'll do is I'll get that software and I'll make sure I include GSP files with all my future things. Because like I said, up until this week, it's the first I've heard of it. The upgrade, so the upgrade is a one-time free. So Design Space is a free upgrade? So Abe, is the upgrade to Design Space where you can import stuff is free? Oh, knowing how to hand cut is just as important. You gotta learn both, man. Unfortunate, I learned the same era, and I know how to hand cut and do my fodder. No, it's 49. Oh, okay, so it's 49 bucks for design, but it's a one-time. Okay. So I'm gonna see if I can, if I have it, if I can save as it, if you guys can open them. But if they have to be like registered or something with them, then I'm honestly not gonna go through all that because that's bullshit. Okay, but it's based on the edition you get. Yeah, got it. So, Avis, is it basically what they're doing? It only opens their designs unless you buy an extra software? Like, will it open any other file types other than its stock ones? Sorry, I'm asking you all the questions. I'd look, but I'm doing this. And if they start doing that, then it's almost worth it to get a real, actual, professional grade plotter. That's going to be a couple, maybe $100 or so more, but you're going to have a bigger cutting area. They're going to be more robust and exact, and they're going to last a lot longer. So they might be shooting themselves in the foot. Because my Roland, I can use their cut management software. I can use anything else. But remember, guys, Cameos and Cricuts, they're just like printers. You know, the average printer, you can just hook to any computer and print with it. You don't need any extra licensing. They might have like special features they do. But what you got to realize is they're trying to lock you into their system. But it's a generic piece of equipment. It's just got to get the file to it. Look into that Easy Cut software. Easy Cut 6 or Easy Cut Studio 6. And see if that, because I remember when I was setting it up, I was surprised because I'm pretty sure I saw Cameo and Cricut on that list of that it would output to. And that outputs generic EPS files, which all vectors are. They could put another 3-digit name on the end of it, but it doesn't change. Oh yeah, no, the Micron is amazing for detail. But like this heavy opaque I'm spraying now, you'd have to thin it too much to run it through a Micron, so it would be futile to use a Micron. The Micron has a perfect time and place for it. Like, I'll probably break it out when I'm starting to the end. But something on this scale, I can run everything with an Eclipse. If you have software that converts the files, then you're good. Yeah, which is, I just don't know if I have it convert. I'll have to check. But like I said, look into that Easy Cut Studio, guys, and see if that's on there. I'll double check. Let's see. Or if I have to, like I said, if I have to get design space, and then I can output that file type, then I'll just do that. I'll pay $50 for a year, as long as people are paying for downloads and not stealing them. So now that all these are open, all the wraps are done, I can basically take everything off. So I love these plastic razor blades. Here's the scrape right blades, which are doing an amazing job. The paint's still a little wet, so it's a little scrapey. But it's not peeling off. because you shouldn't have to use a converting program to use their machine, though. All right, so what I'm doing now is anywhere it's dark, I'm just putting like a little texture in here, like maybe this is like skin texture. The key here is, like I said, I'm working in one color. I'm working with this just one gray tone. You basically, it's an off-white. And by layering in soft and hard layers, I'm creating basically a value shaded painting. Okay, this is the point you want to get to. That's why you don't want to try to learn a million color, switches and stuff like that. And you just want to be able to use the airbrush and do, a couple coats here, a couple coats here, and basically build it up in 3 or 4 coats. What was I coming here to do? I was just coming over here. Oh. Yeah. There you go. Every once in a while, my teleprompter times out. All right, so enough with the Cameo Cricut software. We'll get all that figured out. Talk about the painting itself and what we're doing and how that's working. Okay, so same thing here. I'm going to do up on the head. So now we're going to come up into here and we're going to look what's on top. Like, see, this strap is really big and it overlaps this one, which that overlaps most of those. And then here, and I'm going to start crisscrossing around, okay? You should have... No, what you shouldn't have to do the tracing. That's... Okay. You should be able to import the file itself and have the single cut file and not do a vector trace and get a double cut inline outline. Yeah, you shouldn't have to do that. You should be able to import the file. Like I said, I haven't had an issue in all these years, so they've changed something recently. I'll deal with it tomorrow. I can't deal with it anymore tonight. So this color here it's the opaque limelight green. And what I've done, that's what I use for this green out here. And then for this white, off-white color, I added white to it to get like a greenish white kind of tone. And then I'm just shading inside. sorry guys, I am going to try something. My CO2 tank is really frosting and we're getting a lot of cold air. So I'm going to switch back to my little compressor and see if that changes it. Because the paint flow is not what I want it to be. It keeps gumming up. And I might not have enough distance between my CO2 tank and my air line. No, that green is not a mix. That green is lime. This green right here. This is Wicked Opaque Limelight Green. So this is the main green that's back here. And then I have the opaque yellow, which is here. And then just a pure opaque white. And what I've done is I've mixed like mostly the white with a few drops of green to get this color here. Yeah, it really helps when you stay, Morbius, it really helps when you just stay in like a color family. And not try to like, especially when you're starting out, not try to get too crazy with too many different colors. No, see, CO2 never does moisture into the lines because it's dry, and my CO2 tank doesn't have a dip tube, so that you won't get any. So it shouldn't suck up any liquid that's in the bottom. But it is, however, being cold, and I think the cold is basically frosting my paint a little bit as it comes out. So I'm going to move back to the compressor. So we got that. And remember, every once in a while I've been coming in, if you missed it last week, just take a tack rag. Put it over it. So you watch here and I spray through again. Now you'll see fabric. Let's see if I can zoom in on that. See how now you can see the fabric in there? It's just a nice little subtle trick. No, CO2, so Rob, CO2 tanks are super dry and they're not going to put moisture in your tank, in your airlines. Unless you're using one that has a dip tube and you're doing liquid CO2, then you can do that, or if you got it upside down. But a regular CO2 tank will not introduce moisture into your lines. It's dry and clean air. The moisture trap is just there in case anything does get through. But sometimes the only time you'll get it is if it gets really frosty cold, you might start getting condensation in the line, but it's not coming from the CO2 tank. Fisheye filters, I have a fisheye filter on all my compressors, including this little guy. So I got you, I got you. Yeah, let's take you up. Like I said, it's just a matter of finding what one is on top. Hey, honey. Thanks for popping in. Hope all is well. You can spray through a torn like Scotch-Brite. Yeah, you'll get a different pattern. What I like about using cheesecloth or a tack rag, like an old tack rag, is it has a nice fabric-y texture to it. Like, you know, like it looks, especially for mummies, because it kind of has that wrap linen kind of feel to it. But yeah, you could get away with that. I have the minnow fisheye. I don't use it very much because I have a big one. I have one at the compressor, and then I have another moisture trap. So I have one at the compressor. They have another at the moisture trap. So I don't have one here. With the quick, I do find with the quick connect, and that is a little bulky of a stack to have everything there. But it is a nice addition to have, especially if you do have a moisture issue. But I have the bigger fisheye filter on the compressor itself, and then I go to the Iwata moisture trap at the with the regulator right at the bench. I was hoping just to use the CO2 tank, but I think I just need to get a bigger line so it's not pulling and creating. I need time for the air to cool off. Want to warm up before it gets to the airbrush. It's coming through too cold. Honey, thank you very much. And all I'm doing, notice where I'm spraying. I'm spraying in the middle of the line, letting the overspray get to the sides, kind of creating a little roundness, using the black in the background. It's just the inverse. If you're on a white pan and you're shading on the left and right side, you have a brighter set in the middle. You would just kind of flip it. That's all I'm doing. Like I said, I knew this was going to be tedious, and I did think about doing this all pre-recorded. So this was done, or just about done, before I started the feed, but sometimes it's nice to just do everything in real time. But this is the trade-off to freehand. Okay, the trade-off to freehand is you get a lot more picking before you start getting all the line work. Whereas if I just went freehand, I could have transferred the image and just kind of started in on it. But it does give two different looks. So what I've always liked about this kind of using the mask is you get this crisp, typically when you do an underpainting, you get a loose underpainting, and then you start to tighten it up with freehand details. So that's what I mean. So when you do total freehand, your underpainting is loose and you tighten as you go and you make things crisper. When you use a mask, you can generate a very crisp underpainting that has all the value shading and kind of hard edges that are very crisp and hard. And then you start to detail it and you soften those hard lines where you want to soften them and leave them where you don't want them soft. And in the end, I believe it's faster. You get a better look without as much back and forth as freehand. Everything's a plus and a minus and a push and pull. But you can see by working with the mask, because you get those hard edges, it creates that nice kind of line work. Oops, we gotta get you out. Steve! What's happening, Steve? I'm gonna try picking. I haven't picked with the blade in a while. Steve, that piece you were doing tonight looks cool. That was fun. So these aluminum panels, you used to be able to kind of get away with picking at them a little bit heavier than you can now, without leaving like a little silver shiny mark. But man, they have managed to put the paint on, or that E-coat on, really thin now. And you touch it with anything sharp, and it can leave a mark. So you definitely got to be careful when you're using a mask and picking. It is still better than cutting directly on the surface. Yeah, because when you cut with a razor blade on base coat, it can show you your problems. Someone recently learned that in a video. When you're hand cutting on base coat, especially base coat or clear coat that someone else did, sometimes you don't know what's going to happen. And it's unfortunate I've had it happen to me before when other shops do stuff. And it's not a fun situation. Yes, this is sorry, I got a blade in my mouth. Yeah, this is FBS Blue Mask. On a flat panel like this, you don't really need the blue mask. The blue mask is great. I use it for all my heavy detail stuff, and especially when I'm on a motorcycle that has a lot of curves. For a flat panel like this, you could easily get away with like an Avery or General Formulations brand. The FBS Blue is on the upper price point, and it's up there because it's a very niche product. It's not for the general everyday. It's like a Micron. It's there for when you really need to dial in that final detail. That's what it's there for. But you say that this takes a while. It is a somewhat tedious process. But this is just a general kind of underpainting sketch. And we'll see how far we can get onto it. I think I'll get it to a just about a done enough stage. We'll see. I'm hoping not to have to do a third night on this because I really don't want to. But I'm not going to rush it and kill it either. Rob, I've done that quite a bit. I have at least 3 videos on it. And sometimes I do it, I'll do like an overtime where I'll just clean up and just talk. But I've done it a bunch of times. Gary, thank you so much. Gary just upped his own bid. Appreciate it. Yeah, these ones, these. Bye, honey. I think I've done the micron cleaning as well. And I've done the cleaning where I show, because I do 2 types of cleaning. I do my I'm going to paint tomorrow cleaning, which is really easy. I just put a piece of tape over the top and I walk away. When I come back the next day and I take the tape off and I paint, shake it up, paint. That's it. I don't do anything else. Then I do I'm going to take this paint out because I don't like the way it's working. I'm going to switch to a different color. I do a general flush, wipe, clean the needle, flush some cleaner through it, and then I leave cleaning fluid in it, and I put tape over the top of it, and that's called putting it away wet. I'm going to probably use it the next day, within a couple days, or that week, or something like that. That's it. And then there's the full, as Steve Leahy, the first time I heard the phrase was from Steve, was the spa day. That's the full breakdown, take it apart, polish things, maybe replace a needle or a fluid nozzle, and reset it back to like factory spec. Yeah. The problem with what you guys ought to do when you're trying to clean it and leave it dry. Put it away wet. Clean it, get it all out, pull the needle, flush it, leave cleaner in it. Okay, that way if there's any little dry residue paint that you missed, especially you guys who are new to this, if you've missed it, if you leave a little cleaner in there and put a piece of tape over this vent hole, it doesn't dry out anymore. Okay? Then you can just leave it in there. And it's good for weeks. A lot of times, I don't clean these brushes for a month or 2. You know, especially on the solvent side. Those guns will stay like that forever. This gun here, these siphon feeds, is what I use to like base coat models and stuff. I put this white in this airbrush 6 months ago. I haven't cleaned it. I haven't taken the needle out. I haven't done anything. And it's fine. 6 months. It's sealed from here to all the way under. So all the liquid in here stays wet. It can't dry out. The only thing that's going to dry on this is a little vent hole right here. So you might have to pick the vent hole. 6 months. Yeah, everyone puts it away dry, and that's a problem. You know, we've been talking about it for years and years online. Even Drew Blair, photorealistic meticulous painter, same thing, puts it away wet. This is black. This has been in here for over 6 months. I haven't picked this up in a week, and I just hit and sprayed. I mean, you got to keep things from dry. The key is not so much clean, keep it from drying out. So if I go, God, what am I doing? Like I said, this has been 6 months. I haven't touched it. It's no problem. Dagger stroke, rat tail, dagger stroke. 6 months, this black's been in here. Okay? Don't leave them submerged in water. That's the stupidest thing you could do. That's dumb. Absolutely dumb. Don't listen to that guy. You don't want water and stuff getting into here. There's brass parts and things that aren't coated. That's just going to create all sorts of I can't think of the name. oxidation and all sorts of stuff going on in the body, in this back here. Don't do that ever, 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 ever. If I'm spraying metallics, I get it out right away. Unless it's in the bottom feed. The problem because metallics is what happens with metallics. Metallics get in here, and when they're liquid, they're liquid. You leave it overnight, all the metal flake and suspension gets into here. It stays and then compacts a fluid nozzle. That's what happens with metallics. A little water inside the cup, that's what I'm talking about. That's putting it away wet. So when you're done for the night, if I'm going to flush it, I'll do that tonight on this airbrush. I'll show you exactly how I do it. I flush it out, wipe it out, get it pretty clean, but I'm not polished clean. Then I leave a little paint, I leave reducer or cleaner in here, and I put a piece of tape over the vent. If you leave if you leave this hole open, the solvents in the cleaners or even water will evaporate out and then eventually dry out. And if you have any paint residue in here, all that paint residue will settle into your fluid nozzle and clog into here. But if you leave it wet, leave fluid in there and tape this top, it'll stay fluid for almost ever. And then you can just shake it up, clean it, blow it out, you're done. So yeah. So what I'm going to do tonight, because I know I'm not going to finish this, I'm going to get all this mask off, and then I'll show you how to do a quick clean out. Because I've only used one airbrush tonight, and I'm basically just going to leave it at that. And then we'll do the detail on Thursday night. Just get the rest of these straps done. Everything I'm leaving here is still bone, so I'm going to leave that. This is the eye. This actually piece, this is going to be the bone. This is the eye socket in here. I'm going to leave that. Leave that. Leave that. This will be a strap. Leave a lot of water. Or leave actual cleaner, reducer in it. But do you clog the vent? Do you cover the vent hole? No, it's not your fault. They're all good questions. That's why I do these live, and we just kind of let them go how they go. I mean, I could finish this. We'll see. We'll see how I feel when I get this masking off. I like to do some of the detail. I'll leave that. You know, that can be a little, that can be skull texture in here. Yeah, I think the rest is all going to be. Yeah, no, you gotta cover this vent hole. That's like leaving the can open and just letting it go bad. When you change the needle, do you have to tune it to the nozzle? No. Just change the needle. If your nozzle's bent, the new needle's not going to sit right in it. So I use isopropyl to clean my water-based paints, yeah, all the time. This part right here, this is actually the bone. This is the cheekbone, like, I mean, right around the eye socket, so I'm going to treat like that. Treat that as the eye socket. This is the nose bridge here. Okay. Yep, that's all I do. I take a little piece of tape at the end of the night, and I go like this, and that's it. If I were going to come back in the morning and paint, I would leave this paint in here, and I'd come back in the morning and just paint with it, just like that. I'd walk away, go to bed. Bye. Because the liquid paint that's in here is, at this point, the liquid in here is the same as the liquid in here. It's capped. There's no air changing. The air that's in here, if you have only a teeny bit of paint, it can dry out because there's enough air. But if you have a decent amount of paint in here, just like in here, the paint's not going to dry out. It's sealed. Air has to change. Yeah, I just use the reducer. But for cleaning water-based paints, I'm not going to use the more expensive reducer. I just do a general water flush and then an isopropyl flush. It's worked for me for 30-something years. Yeah, but on my straps, I use this on the straps to make it look like actual linen wraps. And then I use the Mendez in here to look more like skull and bone. You don't need hot water to flush acrylics. You can use it, it's not going to hurt, it's not going to help. It doesn't really do anything. That's going to be the bone. That's going to be the bone here. This is the nose bridge. Have some more of the cheekbone here. I'm just hitting inside the sockets. These little things here, these little silver, where I knocked in a little bit, by the time I'm done painting them, they're going to be gone. I don't need to fix those. They're so minor. If I dug in and paint started delaminating and peeling, then you start over. But like a little silver pick mark here, from picking through to the metal, is really not going to be an issue. On a motorcycle or car where you'd have actual heavy base coat and then clear, I wouldn't hit the silver like this. The problem with these, the only issue with pre-e-coated panels like this is the coating is so thin. Like, it is astronomically thin. So anything short of a piece of plastic, even the plastic I've cut through. but you're not going to have to go body fill and prime. Now, like I said, if this was a car that sits out in the elements, and I got down to primer or bare metal, yeah, I wouldn't have this issue, but it wouldn't be this thin either. And I also wouldn't be talking on camera, controlling cameras, looking at phones. I've been taking a lot more time with it. But if I was pulling this mask and clear coat started peeling off in sheets and delaminating, that would be a complete start over the job, because that means your clear coat is not attached to your base coat, because they were either not compatible or they weren't sprayed or prepped right, or you cut so damn deep you shattered the connection between the mechanical bonding. Which happens recently if you watch some online videos. You can see exactly what that's caused by. Okay, so this, oh, we got one more up here. You can get these at any sign shop. All the sign shops carry this material, any metal place there. You can get them white, black, most other colors. These I get in 4x8 sheets. I got a video on it on my channel. You can get them pre-cut to size at like Coast Airbrush or Spray Gunner. You can order them off Amazon, which I don't recommend. So I guess I should be extra careful. Yeah. Especially with the product. When that happens with that type of stuff, it's oftentimes, yeah, Coast Airbrush sells them, Spray Gunner sells them. They're really good. Or like I said, if you go to a local sign supplier, local meaning in your state somewhere, you can get 4x8 sheets and you can have them cut down to like 18x24s, and these just score the razor blade. You can cut them. Look up polymetal panels. That's what these are called. Sign panels, sign blanks. A lot of different names for them. I like these polymetal panels better than straight aluminum. The problem with straight aluminum panels is A, they're more expensive these days than these are. They're a lot more delicate, because they don't have a backer. The nice thing about these is these have an 1/8 inch PVC core. And they're aluminum on both, coated aluminum on both sides. Okay, so I'm just going around feeling for any masking that might be left behind. You can usually feel where it like grabs you. Or you could take a plastic razor blade like this, and you can kind of drag it over the top. And this will actually take off any paint lips or edges that are too heavy. It won't take off any paint, but you'll find any vinyl that might be left behind. These are lighter. The straight aluminum panels are much heavier than these. So these are a lot lighter, but they're heavy duty because they don't bend. But these are way lighter than like an 040 panel. Oh, see? Found one right there. That's going to be green. Okay, so now what I can do is figure out, I want more lighting up here on the forehead. So I'm going to brighten that and brighten that. Kind of get everything in line where I want it. And let's try to go to one of these other colors. I'm not ready to clean this out yet. If you want, you could save this by putting it in another, put it back in a color cup. You know, medicine cups, pour it in, save it. Yeah. I figured I was kind of clarifying. Yeah, if you get the straight like 040, they're a lot heavier to ship, and they dent wicked easy. Like you breathe on, especially the corners. You breathe on them wrong, they bend. These things are really durable. And you don't need a shear to cut them. 040, you need a shear to cut them, or you gotta cut them with a saw and file the edges. This you can score the razor blade and the straight edge and just snap them like glass. It's great. Alright, so at this point, this is all freehand time. Why aluminum over steel? Because these aluminum panels, you can get coated. They're pre-coated, they're not going to rust or rot on you, ever. And they're lighter. But you can get them in black and white done. The steel, you can't. You get bare steel, you're going to have to prime them. So if you get bare steel panels, and people, I've had this argument with people, and I'm not arguing with you, I'm just saying. They're like, oh, just go get cheap steel panels from Home Depot. Okay, you can get a cheap steel panel from Home Depot. Then you got to scuff that panel. You got to acid etch prime it or epoxy prime it. Let that dry. Sand that. Regular prime it or seal it. Then base coat it. And then clear coat it. Then sand it before you can put artwork on it. So now you're hours into a panel and tens, if not 20, 30s, or $40 of material to get that panel paint ready for a test panel. Or you buy a $90 4x8 sheet of aluminum that's white that you can cut down into 22 12x18 panels. And that white, all you got to do is scuff with a Scotch-Brite pad and go to paint. So you can go either way. And that aluminum panel will be here 100 years from now. That steel panel you spent all that work on, it'll probably eventually rust from the edges. But a steel panel is cheaper, but you still got to paint it. All right, so I want to get some bright colors in here. So I got my frog juice, which is that Berlin frog juice. I love this color. And I got this a little on the thin side. And I'm just going to kiss over this stuff, so I'm going to get a little green in the eyes. I'm going to green kind of around them, the whole area. So see what's happening? That green's kind of getting closer to the background color, but the background color is a different tone. So it's kind of getting that green tone. I'm putting it heavier in the palms. That could be a little darker. The nice thing is this almost acts like a so you scuff and base coat steel. If you scuff and base coat steel, they're going to rust. You have to prime steel with an etch primer and epoxy primer. The base coat, it'll rust. Most base coats, most paint systems don't have rust inhibitors in it. So yeah, see now I'm just getting a nice tone. So Jonathan, are you saying, because it's too many little messages, are you just putting base coat on bare steel? Because if you are, you got to get a primer on there first. If you want it to last. If you don't, then... So I just glaze coated this over with the frog juice. Now I got a nice even tone. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take, this is black and moss green mixed together. Okay, I'm going to go right into that frog juice. I've strained this a few times. Don't degrease or break cleaner on steel. You still got to prime it. Okay, so I want to get this hand really popped out first. So this is where having the paper print out really, really helps. Okay, because what you want to do is, remember what I said at the last video, if you watch the last video, this is 1-to-1. So meaning this is printed the same exact size as the plot file. There it is. What I'm going to do is I want to cut this, the hand only, like the silhouette. And this is where your hand cutting skills comes in. And this file does come with a nice clean JPEG that you can hand cut from and print any size you want. And I'm just going to do a nice silhouette cut. And you'll see why in a minute, because I'll use this to really pop the hand out and push the rest of it into the background with the dark shading color. What's happening, man? So now I have this. See how this lines up exactly to my plot file. As long as you cut it cleanly. And I can use a magnet to keep it in place. Oops. I just lost it back because I picked it up. I don't know where my big neodymium magnets went because they'll power through the aluminum panel. But these ones are too wimpy. Where am I? Here we go. Well, you could use the candy red, but it's not going to make it sparkle. To make it sparkle, you need to have silver or sparkle underneath it, because candy only... Basically, what I just did was a green candy. It just wasn't called candy because it's a really transparent color, but it's the same premise as candy. It's a glaze. Candies react with what's underneath it. So if you want sparkly, you got to have sparkle underneath the candy. Or you can mix sparkle into candy, but generally you put it over. All right, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to drop shadow this. So you're going to see, I'm going to heavy shadow underneath the hands, and you're going to see this hand really pop forward after this. And this is a green. That frog is mixed with a black and moss green mix. What color am I not using to make this darker? I'm going to ask Brian. Brian, what color am I not using? So watch, by pulling this, you'll see that hand really has more lift. And this is where, depending on your skill set, you can start freehanding. Correct, sir. Brian, you got it. Straight black. Not using black. I have black mixed into green to create a darker tone, but I'm not using straight black. Because by using this dark green, I can go and tone all these things, and I still have room at the end to go over to a straight black. And because I didn't use straight white at the beginning, I can always use straight white to pop that forward. So I'm just going to get some of these done and get some work done in the hand. This has all been done with the HPC Plus. The only thing I did to this is I added a double cutaway handle to my Plus model, because I wanted to. And if you don't have that freehand skill to really do all these, this is where shields come in. I can come in with a shield and do this. I can hit that one. Watch here, I'll clean this one up here. I can clean that. Clean that. And just start working my way around. Now, if your freehanding is tough, this is where you'll start using more of the paper cut. But what I'm going to do here is I'm going to start doing some shading and some line work in the wraps. Putting a coarse shadow down the bottom. See how I did that coarse shadow here? I'll do another one here. Watch what I do, because it's the lower side of a cylindrical shape, which is the finger. So I'm going to come in, I'm going to do a little detail lines like folds. Little fold and wrinkle here. And this is where the knuckle, the hand comes in. Let me do this one too. Okay, so you see how I outline those. Now I'm going to core. The Plus is a slightly smaller needle. So the Eclipse is a 0.35 needle and nozzle. The HPC, because it uses the I got a video coming out on it. The Eclipse uses the cone style. Let's show this. Perfect question, actually. Okay, so when you take an Eclipse apart, when you take an Eclipse head assembly, this is your fluid nozzle. This cone here, right? See this brass cone with the tip? That's your fluid nozzle, so 0.35 or 0.5, but the 0.5 doesn't have the actual nickel-plated, platinum-plated tip. Okay. By the way, those who do this, when you use these, this is one piece. Do not ever separate this end cap from this brass part. You've ruined the nozzle at that point. It's junk. These are press fit together. They're not designed to come apart. Okay. There's some professionals out there that show that, and it's not appropriate. It messes with it. So yeah, so that's the Eclipse is my all-to go around. But when you want to go a little above, that's when you go to the Plus model. Okay. Now the Plus model uses the same fluid nozzle setup as the Microns do, just not as small. These, you take the fluid nozzle, and your nozzle is just that little end piece screwed into the body. They're a lot more accurate. They're a lot more dead center. They're a lot more precise. And these will come in a 0.30, so they're a little tighter on the Plus model. Then when you get down to the Micron, you get to the 0.23 and 0.18, which use a similar setup, but they use a whole, a Micron uses a whole head assembly. On a Micron, this whole head assembly here, this is all the fluid nozzle, all matched and married together in perfection, and like finely tuned along the needle to be a perfect 0.18. Jonathan, thank you for joining up. Yeah, just a little extra info on what's what. I've been doing this a little bit. But the Eclipse, I do 90% of myself with the Eclipse. About 75%. And then I go into the pluses for almost everything else. The Plus and the Eclipse are almost interchangeable. The pluses will just be a little better overall. Okay, so back to this, sorry. So I did the detail lines. Now I'm going to come in, I'm going to put a core shadow down here. When I say core shadow, it's running in the center here, so it's not going all the way edge. So you're seeing some light at the bottom, and then you highlight the top. And that core shadow creates a cylindrical effect. The floating fluid nozzle is more convenient and easier. It's cheaper. It's easier. It does an amazing job. It's a true workhorse brush. You can go nice, thick atomization of paint. Like you can use thick paint and atomize it well, and you can get down to really nice fine lines. I started as a t-shirt artist. For t-shirt artists, mural artists are the best overall workhorses, and you can get down to really fine illustration detail. But at a certain point, there's a diminishing point of return where the fluid nozzle is just not quite as exact as the screw-in nozzle. Screw-in nozzle tolerance is a lot higher. The machining is a lot better. Once you go past 0.35, you don't really want a floating nozzle. The floating nozzles, you go past 0.35 and you're in that 0.3, 0.23, 0.18. The centering makes such a difference that you negate the smaller fluid nozzle diameter, and they can be really temperamental. And that's what a lot of the problem with a lot of the cheaper knockoff Taiwan Chinese airbrushes, that they basically take an Iwata Eclipse or Badger style floating nozzle that should be a 3.5 or a 5.0, and they just make a smaller nozzle and needle and call it a Micron. And just because it says 0.18, 0.23, but they're not built accurately enough to house that, and they are temperamental. That's why you get quite a bit of issues with it. But the 0.23 Eclipse is just an amazing brush, and I use them all the time and love them. Okay, so that's some same core shadow. I'm going to come around here and kind of do the the thumb. We'll put some detail in here. Same thing here. We'll put some kind of hash marks across it so it looks a little fabric-y. And really start getting some detail. But remember I said earlier, if you weren't here, when you freehand totally, your underpainting is very soft and then you have to tighten it up. When you do masking like this, your underpainting is very crisp. And you can soften the details with line work and decide what you want crisp and what you want hard. And like I said, your value shading is already there. So you can just run some detail and some shading and you get a lot really fast. So see I'm doing those lines, but now I'm going to go here. I'm going to drop shadow that middle finger into the palm, and darken that palm up. So all that beginning structure we're setting up. So now you can just freehand really quick and really get the most out of it because you have all that underpainting established. So I'm doing the bones of the fingers. Shadowing that, light source is coming down, so I'm putting it bright. It's going to be a bright highlight here afterwards when I get a nice shadow. Oh yeah, I'm going to detail everything, but I got to start with the hand. I'm going to start with the hand because that's the most in the foreground. And then we're going to work our way in, which won't be all tonight, but... But I'm going to do the face the same exact way I'm doing this. But I want to get this hand kind of done, and then I'll kind of highlight it and bring it to like a midpoint just so you can see where we're going to be going. Now if I wanted to at the beginning, I could have simply, if I had a white panel, I could have, or like I could have transferred this image like I've done other times, like I did the Hellboy one, and just went complete freehand. Do what I'm doing now and shade. No net, no nothing. Just freehanded, just like Hellboy. But this week, I did that last time, so this week I'm going to do half mask, half freehand. So when you watch a series of my videos, you'll see there's different ways to attack a problem. And depending on the project you're doing, you choose kind of your loadout. If you're into video games and playing, you have a loadout. How am I going to do it? Am I going to go all freehand on this one? Am I going to make a mask? Am I going to print it and just paper cut mask? How do I feel like doing it? That's stuff you got to ask yourself. What process am I going to use to do this? I've been doing this 35 years, 36, more now. So I know multiple ways to attack a problem. And I'm going to choose I'm going to choose which path I want to get the outlook. Technically, it's half mast. Yes. Half mask, half freehand. But the freehand purist gatekeepers be like, oh, it's only freehand if you do everything freehand. Usually those guys who say that can't freehand for shit. And like to talk more than they paint. Okay, let's get this hand done. So if you can't freehand, no matter what masking you use to cheat, you'd lose it right here if you can't freehand. Because right now, everything I'm doing is freehanding with what I established as the baseline. Which I think is a great way to work. It gets you a lot of flexibility. It's a very efficient way to paint. It's also good with customers. You got to work smarter, not harder. Exactly. Mike Learn used to have a great DVD series on that. And we had a lot similar techniques. And there's a difference. There's a difference when you're painting for client work and you're painting for your own art collection series that you're going to put out. You know what I mean? This is the process I'd use on most motorcycles. And 20 minutes. I could probably finish this and get close enough to finish the 20. No, I don't want to. I don't want to. I don't want to. I want to really make this pop and make this really, really cool. Brian, I just answered that question. Okay, so I'm going to show you kind of the end game point at this. What I'm going to do after I do the dark, and I'm not fully done because we're going to do it all at the very end. But this is where I would take like either my white, and I'm probably going to mix it with a little yellow now. Yeah, the answer is I want to get to the header wraps when I get to the header wraps. The hand was first to get that to pop, and just to show you the process. Then we'll equal everything out. But now that I got the dark established, this is where I'll go in with final highlights, basically. And I'll probably wash over this again. You see how that hand starts to pop out? So I did those core shadows down here. Now these are core highlights. But I'm going to do more of this towards the end. I'll use a thinner paint. But see how that hand starts to pop? Highlight that thumb. But you see how much in the foreground that hand is. If you look at the side view, you can just see that pop. how it's elevated off. It looks like it's coming out. So I'll probably end up wrapping this Thursday night, or maybe midweek I'll do something. Maybe I'll do midweek for members only, but I'll probably finish this. I'll probably finish it Thursday, and maybe we'll throw a little green, like smoky fire and something in it, and go from there. But like I could also like see this ribbon, how it's just kind of mono. It's just this is where a lot of artists kind of fall flat. They do the mid, they do the dark, and they're good. But it kind of looks flat. See how this looks flat? Now watch this one thing right here. See this one strap, which just kind of looks flat with everything else. If I take a little, I might have a better time with this. Let's see. Just use a loose edge. Now watch. If I'm going to paint right on the edge. That white line, that little bit of haze just popped it forward. I can do it a little bit brighter. It just brings it forward. Same thing here, watch. Brings it forward. It's all contrast. This hand, same thing. I want this strap a little tighter. I'm going to use an edge. I'm just going to pop it forward. These little things all start to make it just a little tighter. And just make it look a little cleaner. But the purists will say that's not freehand. Just little bits and keep going from there. But yeah, and the rest of it's going to be like this. Yeah, that does exactly, Mike. But it's strategic. And then when we get to the end, like I can come in freehand and do like a brighter pop. See what I mean? Little bits. And you're slowly bringing things up. You're kind of equaling things out. You know, we'll get to the eyes and we'll brighten them up. You know. It'll be really cool when it's fully done. Yeah, loose to tight, man. That is a lot of it. Okay, with that being said, I have done all this with one airbrush. Let's show you guys how I do the cleanup. So we're going to take this aside. Let's clean up my bench a little bit here. We're going to save this paper for Thursday. Save the hand. Save everything. This stencils. Yeah, just kind of group our stencils together because we're probably not going to touch this bench until Thursday. At least for this. Let's get everything put away. Okay, so you've been airbrushing, you're gonna go to bed. This is my general clean out. And what I do, I take my airbrush, you can't see it off camera, and I just dump the paint, okay? We're getting the questions so I can see them. Let's get them in, okay. So, I get that paint. I take Remember, if I was just painting tomorrow, I'd leave the paint and I would just put tape over the cap. But if I'm going to go to bed and I want to like change colors, or if I'm using a metallic, I would get the majority of the paint out. I take either a cleaner bottle or a water bottle, and I get the majority out. I'll back flush a little bit. Back flushing is fine. See how I'll get the majority of it out like that. You can take the needle, give it a quick wipe, put it back in. I'll clean the excess off this. And then all I do is either put reducer. Actually, what I will do is I'll take some isopropyl for water-based, and we'll do a flush with that, because that really eats the paint up. Then usually what I'll do is I'll just use isopropyl or, the reducer. Put that in, cap it off. And this is called putting it away wet. I leave it at that. I take a piece of tape. This is the key to it. Take a piece of tape like this, put it over the top. And if you had wet paint in there, you could have just done this and walked away. You got to make sure it's dry. Put a piece of tape over the top. Ah, it's wet. There's a reducer in here. Tape, cover it. This is not going to dry out. If there's any little paint residue in here, which I know there's a little bit, it's not going to dry around the nozzle. It's good. This is good for days, weeks. I don't have to recommend you to do it in that way, but next morning I'm going to work, a couple days I'm going to work on it. This brush is I'm going to squirt this out, wipe it out, put paint in there. No problem. It'll be super easy, super fast. This is like putting a striping brush. If you guys have any brush paint, you clean your brush really good, get it off. Do you just throw it in the gun and throw it in the case and let it dry out? No. What do you do with a pinstriping brush or paintbrush? You oil it. You dip it in oil, mineral oil or something like that. Run it through your fingers so the bristles stay moist, and then you put it in the case. That's what every pinstriper and every letterer does. That means that brush stays moist. The hairs don't dry out and crack and get brittle, and they can pick the brush up. They wipe that off with a little reducer or cleaner, get all that oil off there, mineral oil out of it, and then they go paint, and then they put it away again like that. They don't dry it out. Siphon feed, you can do the same exact thing. Like I said earlier, this siphon feed here, this has been here for 6 months. I have never cleaned it and I've never taken it apart. Okay? The only thing that can dry out and clog is this vent hole. So sometimes you have to poke the vent hole, or if you want, you can put a little piece of tape over that vent hole if you're concerned about it, but it still won't dry because this is all sealed in here. The most I usually do is I'll clean the nozzle off. But look, this hasn't been sprayed until tonight for 6 months. "90% of you guys damage your airbrushes taking it apart and cleaning it." Big Mountain knows what I'm talking about. Yep. Do you use mineral oil, or do you use like Marvel Mystery Oil? I used to always use Marvel Mystery Oil, the red stuff, for my pinstripe brushes. And then I did move to like a brush preservative, just like a straight mineral oil, which I got from Mr. J. I think I bought that can 10 years ago of his brush preservative, and it's basically mineral oil. That I think I still have over half it left. But yeah, siphon feed, same thing. You could just clean it. What we would do at the end of the night for the t-shirt stands when we worked at it, all we would do, the most we would, let me get my ugly mug off screen. The most we would do at the end of the night is we'd flush out the paint, maybe give it a quick spray, pull the needle, clean it, and then same thing. We'd put it in like this, and we'd cap it for the night, not put paint through it, and it'd be done. And then, again, the next morning you come in, next week, next month, and you just paint. It's fine. Yeah, we did that for years. Oh, you started with Clean 10W30. Yeah, I started with the red Marvel Mystery Oil is what I started cleaning my brushes with. When we say brushes, guys, we're talking about hairy brushes. But yeah, I use Marvel Mystery Oil, and then yeah, I got the brush preservative from Mr. J for the Excalibur brushes because I switched from straight max to Excaliburs. Oh, good oil, like the clear stuff. Yeah, yep. Yeah, no, I'm pretty sure the brush preservative from Mr. J that could have changed over the years was just basically a mineral oil, but it might have a couple other things in it. Hairy brushes, exactly. Hairbrush versus airbrush. Yeah, pretty sure there might be some glycol and some other stuff there to keep the bristles, from drying out and condition the hair, because it's usually most of it's like traditional painting brushes are usually Kolinsky Sable, which is basically like a kind of mongoose type of animal. And here, most of our print stripe brushes are blue squirrel tail. This hair is what usually it is. Yeah, Excalibur. I love the Kafkas. And man, the Von Dagos. If you haven't used them, the Von Dagos are awesome. They're such a good brush. I got the Tidwells as well. I loved his set. And then I have an original set of Lavalle's detail brushes from back in the day, the gold handle one. So yeah, I got quite a few. I don't hand brush much, and I'm not that great at it. So you'll probably never see me do a video on it here ever. Unless I practice for a month, because it's not really my strong suit. But yeah, guys, that's how I clean these, and that's it. This is the only one I used. So yeah, that's it. That's probably most I've cleaned it. And then, like I said, the other day, I had a lull between jobs, and I decided that everything needed to be cleaned. Yeah, that's true. I had a break in the work, so I decided to do like a spa day for everything. So I took every brush apart, cleaned every brush, replaced any needle and nozzle that needed it. We kind of hand polished everything, just polished everything, and then put just a drop of gun lube on the needle and threw them in. Went through everything. I've got a set of Tidwells. Yeah, I got the green handles. And I think the pink ones from Tidwell. And then I have what's his name? The orange handles. Shoot. Oh my God, I just forgot his name. He has like a celebrity name. He used to work with Harley. Damn it. Turner. I got Turner's brush set. Turner had a really nice set of orange handles. Those are really good. Something I just collect because I want to support my friends. Even though I'm not a great striper or letterer. But when they come out with something, I support them, and I just want to buy them and have them. Tater salad, no problem, man. That's what I'm here for. That's why I kind of like doing this. Not kind of like doing it. I like doing it. Who else? Oh, and I got a couple of Jeff Styles did a tiki striping brush handle, like a carved tiki, and then a girl with kind of a big chest and curves. Those are fun. But yeah, I always try to, if one of my fellow artists or friends come out with a product or brush line or something, even if I'm not going to use it, I buy it. Just it's support and cool. It's kind of a collector thing of friends, and if they happen to come up to the studio here, then we'll have them sign it. Yeah, I got to catch them all. That is my problem, and that's my problem with Warhammer. That's my problem with almost everything. But I hope you guys enjoyed that part of the process. We'll finish this up Thursday. It's a really cool painting. It's going to be a cool piece. And we'll go from there. What tool did you use to... Oh, you can't get these anymore, so... this was a... There's guys that make different versions of them. I think Trigger Happy makes one. It's just basically a nozzle tool. This was made by Skip Baker. It was just a nice knurled. I'll see if I can make something like it. It just had the right fitting inside. It's just a nice knurled corner. It's really nice for taking off the Eclipse nozzles. It just fits right over it and just unscrews. But I know Trigger Happy makes one. And there's a few other ones that make just a nozzle tool. If you have a 3D printer, you can find tons of different versions. You know, but it is a nice, handy one. I suck with design software, so I could try to maybe figure out how to make one. But yeah, I used to be able to get these off Skip Baker, but he's unfortunately no longer with us. And if I was to make one, I would not copy his out of respect. But I know there's a few guys out there that make something similar. I had them... See, guys ask me questions and I can't let it go. That's part of my OCD, ADHD. That I know I have the tool somewhere. Well, they might be in the They might be in the shop. No. I'm getting closer. There's some of the caps that Skip made. Kiwi Dave made. Yeah, no, I don't have them, but these were other stuff people made. This was a Mike LaValle aviator skull airbrush cap that Skip also made, so these are no longer available either. But these were cool. And these were airbrush caps, protector caps, where they were adjustment nozzles with skulls on them. You guys made some really cool stuff. You can find some 3D print stuff online of different things like that. But yeah, you can find some different tools. All right, guys. Don't use vice grips. I know, you're just kidding. Iwata does make a set of actual vice grips that work well, which this is the toolkit. So they make these, which these are nice because these have a Teflon coat. So these work with everything, micron. So they have a larger opening for here, for taking these off. And they have a smaller set for getting into here, for taking that. And they're not going to damage anything. So you can do this. These are nice. And then these have the tools in here for taking this out, for taking your air valve out. You know, so you can get this out. It's the wrong one. Need this one. There's two different sizes depending on the brush. The Eclipses are bigger than the Pluses and the other things. And then you have this nozzle. This is the one for taking the fluid nozzle out, so you can not mess it up. It fits right over the top and takes it off like this. Puts it back on. This is a nice set. It's worth it. And then these are for the packing O-ring that's in here. And these slide in where your needle would go. And you can unscrew the packing O-ring and replace it. And you can put a new one in. And you can torque it just right so you get the right tension. So these are great. And there's two different sizes because Iwata needles are two different diameter needles. The Eclipses and all the bigger ones use a 1.4 millimeter needle. And the Microns and Pluses use a 1.2. So this is a great toolkit to get. And these are great if you travel because everything fits nicely in here. And then you can fit a couple airbrushes in. You can fit 3 of these. If you have bottom feeds, you can fit like 3 or 4. These ones you can fit quite a bit. So, this is a nice set. Then you have guys like my buddy Sean. Dude, Cosmosy is an animal. I love that man. A, for what he's done for me in the industry. And the fact that he still is cranking on cars and doing what he loves is just a total inspiration to everyone. John's an amazing human being. And I've been fortunate to meet him, talk with him quite a lot over the years, and get to know him personally. Great guy. One of the coolest things is I had my, I think it was 1992 or so, I got the How to Paint Custom Flames and VHS and how to do candy VHS tapes from House of Color back then. I still have the VHS. And then, oh, we got it right here. It was like show and tell night. Right there, baby. So I got this. This is how I learned to do my first flame job. Realistically. This was a VHS tape from House of Color from 1991. And then I had John sign it in 2016, which was the 60th anniversary of House of Color. And next year, it is going to be the 70th year of House of Color. From, yeah, this was 60. So next theme is going to be, yeah, I learned how to spray candies too from that. And yeah, this was the magic. This is what did it for me. This is what got me into it. I ordered everything I could from the first catalog. Did my first motorcycle flame job, House of Color. And then my first shop, I worked, when I opened up my first shop, I had a sign shop. I had a customer that worked for Keystone that wanted his bike done. But he was a House of Color dealer, so he made me a deal that he would supply me with as many materials I wanted basically in turn for the paint job. So he said, what do you want? And I ordered a gallon of black, gallon of silver, Orion silver, gallon of white, chrome yellow, a few colors, and every candy in like 3 gallons of SG100. And he gave me all that. And I did his bike for him. That material probably lasted me on another 10 or 15 bikes. So yeah, that was great. But yeah, that was what did it. And I know I have it, but I have the How to Do Candy coats, which was when they did they painted a Brandywine Camaro, I think, with like a galaxy gray and a silver two-tone underneath. Yeah, I still love their clear. Yep, definitely autographed. John's great. I got some good collector stuff. Yep. But I think that's it, guys. I think that's the night. 10 o'clock. I ended up doing 2 hours anyway. We'll figure out when I'm going to paint the rest of it. I think we'll just do Thursday night, 8 o'clock. We'll wrap it up. I know I'm not going to get to it sooner. I got to finish that Skull bike this week, that chopper, and get that out into clear. And tomorrow's me and Crystal's 24th wedding anniversary, so I'm not coming on or hanging out with any of you guys tomorrow. So I'll see you guys Thursday night. Same bat time, same bat channel. And Tanner, I appreciate that, man. That's a huge compliment. Thanks, guys. Have an awesome night. Hope your week's starting out good. And see you guys Thursday night, 8 p.m. Peace.